Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to run SDX on VFC in Chameleon. The topology of the network is shown in the graph. We have two VFC, one at each side of Chameleon, and we have two client networks on Chameleon, on TAC and UC. And we also have two ExoGENI client networks, that is on ExoGENI rack. In this video, we will stitch the two Chameleon client networks to the VFC and also two ExoGENI client networks to the VFC, and have the client networks talk to each other via the VFC. Between the two VFC, there is also a link. This is actually an exogenous slice with two stitch ports stitched to both sides, two sides, and there is ExoGENI circuits linking the stitch port. So we can view that there is a logical link between the two VFC. That's the topology of the network. The four client networks will be under four different sublets. We have already created the VFC on Chameleon and created the networks and client nodes on the Chameleon. For example, in UC, there are two client nodes under the sublet 192.168.200.1/24 sublet, and there is a VFC called SC19 safe, and there is three networks on the VFC. One is the local network called FaceNet1. This is for the network for the client nodes on Chameleon. And there are also two ExoGENI switchable networks on the VFC with different VLAN tags. These are used for stitching the VFC to the ExoGENI slice. We will use one of the ExoGENI network for the link between the two VFC, and the other ExoGENI network for the stitching to the ExoGENI client network. And we have also created the two client networks on ExoGENI. There are three nodes on each of the client slice, and we also have another ExoGENI slice with two stitch ports that connects the two VFC, two stitch port and the circuit between them. Next, let's look at how we run SDX on VFC. First, we run the SDN controller for the two VFC. We are using the VFC router application, which is adapted from the Ryu REST router application. This VFC router is available in the Docker image called Plexus version 3. I have already logged onto the Docker on the SDN controller node, and there is a Docker running as the SDN controller. Let's run the command to restart the SDN controller. Now the SDN controller has restarted. Next, we save the topology of the VFC in a JSON file. There are two routers in the VFC, which is in the network, which is one VFC at each site. They have different DP data path ID. There is a link between the two VFC, the two router, and there is three networks on each VFC with different VLAN tags. NAT FaceNet 1 and 2 ExoGENI switchable networks. And there are also 3 networks on the other VFC on TAC. That's the topology of our VFC. Next, we start the VFC server. It has started. Next, we create client networks, which we have already done. So we are skipping this step 4. In the following steps, we will stitch the client networks to the VFC and have the client networks advertise their IP prefix and request for connection between the client networks. First, let's stitch the client networks to the VFC. For the ExoGENI client slice, for the first ExoGENI client slice, we choose to stitch to Chameleon at UC with the VLAN tag 3298. And for the second ExoGENI slice, we stitch to TAC with VLAN tag 3502. By stitching ExoGENI slice to the VFC, we will add a stitch port to the slice. While we are waiting for the stitching to complete, let's log on to the client nodes. I have already logged onto 2 client nodes on 2 different sites on Chameleon. So this one has IP address 100.18. We can pin to the other nodes under the same subnet, but not to nodes under different sublets. And we also log on to the client node and log on to one of them. We cannot pin to a different network, client network. Now the stitching of the 2 ExoGENI client slices has finished. So we continue stitching the Chameleon network to VFC. First, we stitch the client network at TAC to VFC using the VLAN tag 2085. And stitch the client networks on Chameleon at UC to the VFC using the VLAN tag 3022. What's next? We have the client networks advertise their IP prefix to the VFC. First, for the ExoGENI client, and then for Chameleon client. Now we have advertised prefix to the Chameleon to the VFC. For connection between the across different client networks, we need to configure the routing in the VFC. Before we do that, we can check that we cannot ping to. We have already done that. And let me log on to the NAS, the node of the NAS client is nice. Oh, sorry. That's not this one. So let's try to pin to the node at the other network. It won't work. Now let's have the client networks request for connection between the other client networks. So there are 4 client networks in total, so each one has to request for connection to the other 3. And do the same for Chameleon client. So now we have finished configure the routing between the client networks. Let's log on to those client nodes again to check. This node has IP address 20.11. Let's try to pin the 10.11 first. It works. 10.12 and 100.17, 100.18. Okay, it all worked. So and it would be the same for the other nodes. So now the pin between the 4 client networks all worked. That's the demo. Thank you for watching.